clappers. That'll do. I've got an old phone with a case that. There we go.
It doesn't make sound.
Um, yeah, welcome everyone to the cert-manager weekly community meeting. It's the 13th of November. It's 5 minutes past 5 in London, and this is my first time back in a while. I was off to have a child. All went well there. I'm back now, raring for some cert-manager. We don't have much in the way of announcements, except to say that thanks to some cracking work from multiple members of the team, we've now sort of switched over our official install methods for cert-manager and the other sub-projects that fall under the cert-manager banner. Previously, there was a legacy Helm repository, and that's not going anywhere. That's going to still be maintained. But because that falls under the JetStack domain, which is owned by CyberArk, there are various practical challenges to getting maintainers who don't work for CyberArk access to that. So the official way to get your cert-manager now is through OCI charts. They can be released by any maintainer. We then sync those to the repository after the fact. We've put in the documentation that can take hours. It could take more than just hours, but it will happen eventually. Because it's going to require a human in the loop to review it. But it's all switched over now, and certainly I haven't installed from the Helm repository for a while. I've been using OCI charts for a while now, and that's all gone through. Did anyone else have any announcements or shout outs?
Just one note on this OCI registry change. We also added to the website that the OCI images are the source of truth. You should be using them. They are the fastest way to get the latest release. The non-OCI Helm charts we may have a delay, a few hours, and this is to be taken into account. So please use OCI.
Very much so.
I can also add that if you're using GitOps, it's really preferable to use OCI sources. It will put the load on your GitOps solution, like Flux, at least, much lower. So.
Oh, by the way, we had a disruption on the Australian zone. Cloudflare somehow was serving the wrong blob for the index.yaml and whatever. So yeah, for a few hours, anyone in this zone couldn't get access to the old style ham charts.
Do you know what the problem was caused by?
No. No. We just redeployed and flushed the cache and it fixed it. It's probably something on Cloudflare's side. They had a they did something on that zone for the Cloudflare pages. They redirected to some other zone. I don't know if that's the cause. Honestly, I don't know. We couldn't find anything in the logs. We couldn't reproduce.
I think file it under all the more reasons to use OCI. It's simply better. Brilliant. So we've got a fair few bits on the agenda. We might as well get stuck in. I see no reason not to go in order. So Erik, first bit is user-facing migration to cluster bundle and trust manager.
Yeah, I can say a few words on that. As some of you know, I've been working on actually changing the kind of what's now called bundle to cluster bundle, mainly to make room for a namespace bundle in the future, but also be more like parallel to how cert-manager names their CRDs, like issuer and cluster issuer. Most of the foundation work is done. I have started working on kind of the last mile, which of course became a bit complicated. So I put this on the agenda more to ask if someone would like to pair with me on this to somehow get it over the finish line. I would hope to split it up. Well, the PR I have now, which is a draft PR, is quite huge. So first and foremost, I would be interested in knowing if you have any suggestions on how to make it smaller. If there's more we can do as a pre-step before doing the switch.
I think speaking for myself, it's hard to say if I can make it smaller without reading through it, and I'm not going to be able to do that in this meeting.
No. But I'm thinking about you, actually, if you could
Yeah,
maybe you could take a talk after you've been looking at it and see if you can make up an opinion on how
I'd
to.
certainly be like, even if I can't come up with a way to shrink it down, I'm certainly up for meeting up with you and sort of getting
Yeah.
stuck in and moving it forwards. Like, if you want to schedule a meeting or something, like we'll do that.
It was really interesting to see the discussion that Jake started with a trust manager CSI, which is kind of the downstream from this work. So this was the work that Adam was referring to. We have also kind of put a halt on new major features in the API while we're doing this migration. So it would be really, really nice to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I support that.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay, that one's I'm gonna say that one's ticked off, and we can move on to the next one, graduating server-side apply feature gate.
Yes, that's an interesting topic. I wanted to do this for a very long time. We have enabled the feature gate in our clusters like for years, and it's working nicely. But of course, we don't use the full cert-manager. We don't use all the features in cert-manager. So I would not be convinced that server-side is working perfectly in any installation. But I think most of the things work. But the main challenge now is the tests. A lot of the tests are failing with various errors. I know that Richard was supposed to pair up with me and see if we could help me get some movement on it. I haven't heard anything from him. I guess there's a reason for that, but I'm looking for a way to get forward with this. It's kind of related to the next point, at least I think so. But that's also a more generic question, which is
Yes,
interesting.
on that point, this is on the CyberArk list of things that we said we would do. Somehow it got kind of demoted. I will let you know in a few minutes whether it's going to come soon or not.
Yeah. What I'm hoping to do is to do small steps to get that draft PR in gradually in a better state, so we can kind of do some preparation PRs to look at specific things if we think that that specific thing will move the main task forward.
Yeah, and then this one was deemed as very simple. The review, at least.
Yeah,
Oh.
now you're over to the next point. We could move over to the next point, actually.
I think that's probably a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next is about the last transition time change, which I took a look at earlier today, and it scares me. Like, I added a review comment on it.
I know.
To a link in the chat. Yeah, I guess so. So what I don't understand, I don't think, and it's not a blocker or anything, but I don't know why we need to make this change, and in order to move things forward. The marking it as required, I'm very relaxed about. I don't think that's a big deal. I don't get changing it away from being a pointer, and like at least from looking at it briefly, I think this is more of a weird like comparison, like formatting issue rather than I'm not sure why this is tied. The timestamp thing is tied to it being a pointer, and basically I'm looking for a context to understand more on that.
Yeah. I responded to your review in a new comment. Making it required is actually scaring me more than changing the Go API, making it from a pointer to a value type. But it depends on what kind of practice we should use. I mean, Kubernetes has explicitly said that our APIs are stable. We don't do breaking changes in the APIs, but we can change the Go APIs whenever we feel that it's necessary. But they have kind of signified to the consumers of the modules by versioning them with 0.x. I've also written about omit 0, which is new in Go 124. I know that Adam has migrated a lot of things from pointers to being non-pointers. And we have started on the same in our code. I don't know if you're specifically fond of pointers.
I am not. I don't have strong preferences on pointers one way or the other. I'm fond of backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
Like that is my primary thing. And I hadn't seen your comment because GitHub hadn't updated, which is unfortunate.
But I can see in the direction that you are suggesting. My idea is by making it mandatory, like a required field, we could ensure that we actually relate to it in all the tests, which is now fixed in this. And I've also added the required rounding or truncation of the test data that we use in these tests, because that's the only way to make the test pass, but the way they are written. You see it specifically on the integration test where we use test.env. So it's the actual API server binary that's running here.
I feel is it not quite brittle to have it truncate to the nearest second? Like if the real API server takes 2 seconds to reply, which could happen on any request, is that not going to cause a problem?
No, it's just truncating the time value you submit to it. So if you write a value on the last transition time, which has milliseconds or nanoseconds or anything else, it would just take it away. So when you write the value, you will have milliseconds included. But when you read the same thing just afterwards, you will get it truncated to a second. So all the millis will be removed, as far as I can understand.
I oh, this is where 2 months of paternity leave starts to really take its toll, right? I think like my gut in like I suspect we're not going to solve this here. Like I'm certainly willing to keep engaging with the PR, but my gut is that something is unsound if we're comparing the textual representation of times and expecting them to be equal in a test. Outside of like an entirely mocked situation, I don't think we should be comparing the last transition time
But
on a base level.
yeah,
Well, if you can't round trip an object through the marshaller and have it come out the same, then you can't compare it in a test.
I think Is it not the API server that's setting the last transition time?
No.
No,
No,
it's us.
you just set it.
Yeah.
It's API. It's just text on the object, but it's more that when it gets marshaled into the Go struct, it gets truncated, I think.
It's a really complicated matter. It would be interesting for you to take a look at on the original draft PR to migrate to server-side apply, because there you see I haven't done any changes around these timestamps. And there you will see all kind of funny things happening, which means we'll have to rewrite the tests as Jake is saying. The test won't work when suddenly a component, when you use server-side apply, these are truncated by the thing you're using to test.
Hmm. Yeah, I suppose what we've learned is I can't talk about this intelligently without reading more.
Yeah.
I think unless someone else wants to address this now, maybe we move on.
Yeah.
And I pinky promise I'll keep engaging with you on this, Erik, and feel free to ping me on Slack to hit me with a stick to get me to pay attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, let me just say that I totally in line with you regarding breaking changes. I'm not a fan of breaking changes, so I'm really open to other suggestions that can solve the issue in a way where, in a more generic way. One of the problems in test setup is that we use some old test framework with some actions, so we assert the actions, and that is where the problem arises. Maybe I can get it to work with a pointer, but like with Google Compare, which is a library which is used now inside that, you can do magic stuff with certain fields inside the struct before they are compared. I think that can be done with pointer type as well, but it's certainly easier with a value type.
Okay.
Yeah.
I promise I will engage with that going
Yep.
forwards, and
Thank you.
we'll move it forwards. Maël has snuck something in.
I did. Have you seen that?
But that's cool,
Missed.
Maël.
Yeah, we should probably do something on that now. Maël, would you like to say something?
Yeah. So Zach, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning for everyone all across the world. My name is Zach Gruenberg. I'm an account executive here at CyberArk. Since I was a young kid, I've been involved with Linux with my uncle who worked in support, convincing me to throw Ubuntu onto an old IBM ThinkPad. And since then, I've always had an infatuation for Linux. Recently, joining CyberArk in March, had the opportunity to reconnect with that nerdy part of me and have recently got into home labbing and getting a lot more hands-on keyboard. And as part of that, I also engaged with a lot of our developers and our AI innovation team. That's where I got connected with Maël and learned a little bit more about cert-manager. And it was a really exciting project to me. And I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to start paying it forward a little bit and try to contribute and help how I can as someone who is not very technical. And I know that there's a lot of tasks that often get kind of put on the side for the technical progress within open source projects. So I'm hopeful that I can help contribute in a meaningful way without necessarily being the master coder that I'm joined by here today. So thanks everybody, and I look forward to helping however I can.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining. It's really great to have you here. Does anyone have suggestions for non-code related stuff right now? Maybe someone's got something top of mind.
I suggested the usual things. Documentation is a great place. I don't have an exact GitHub issue to point to. I don't think we have we have what label do we use for? Oh yeah, good starting. No, good first issue. I don't think we have good first issues on the website, but I can link to the website there.
Hmm.
One thing that always helps is when people go through one of the tutorials that we have, especially when they're new to this project, and they flag issues with the tutorial and usually other problems in the website. So I think that's a great way to get started.
Yep.
There are also other non-code possible contributions. I thought about it. I think we talked about project management
Hmm.
type of things. I don't know how it could be done, like in practice. I don't know. It would at least require you to be to come regularly to the meetings, and I don't know
Sure.
if that would fit, especially because the open source stand-ups are at 10 a.m. UK time, so that would be super painful for you.
Got it. Got
Like
it.
3
Well, I
a.m.
would
or
say for
something.
my first meeting here, I think that it's best to just share the intention and then take a look
Yeah.
at what you just shared as far as the issues within the GitHub. I want to familiarize myself a little bit more with the GitHub repo itself. I've watched a few tutorials on people installing cert-manager and starting to issue certs from it. As sort of like a rip and replace of wherever they're currently managing their certs, whether it's Cloudflare or anywhere else. So that's the first thing that I suggest propose doing. So that way I kind of just get my bearings, understand a little bit deeper as to where Cert Manager is today. And then from there, I plan on attending the next call that we all have here and just sort of sharing my impressions as a non-technical resource and then seeing from there with my impressions and where I sort of see things lay, just sort of get a gut check from you all and then from there I think would be probably a little bit more eyes wide open as far as what I can meaningfully contribute here and where the most pressing needs are.
That
Oh,
sounds
and
great.
also there's the Slack. There's a channel called cert-manager on Slack.
Great.
You can have the link in this page that I shared in the chat. It's a great place
Okay,
if you
awesome.
And
like
and
if you're a bit stuck.
and that I think is also in itself an excellent non-code contribution that could be made is like community support and like the people asking questions in that channel. Maybe there's a GitHub issue for it, maybe there isn't, but like tracking it in one central place and sort of connecting those dots, like that's invaluable work that sometimes gets left behind because people are focusing on other things. There's there's
Sure.
there's plenty that can be done, that's for sure.
Now, is Slack the main method of communication and project management, or do you
Yep.
guys use Jira as well, or is it just all
No.
Slack?
Well, Slack and GitHub issues would be
Slack and GitHub, got it.
yeah.
Cool.
Um, one thing that jumps out to me is there's been some news in the Kubernetes community around how Ingress NGINX is going away, which has been sort of the standard. Like our sort of biggest tutorial is on using cert-manager with Ingress NGINX. It's going away next year, so the tutorial we have will either need to be reworked to point to something else or removed and replaced with something else. And that may be a good starting point if you're into like home labbing type stuff.
Yes.
Like you'll hit that problem pretty quickly of like, oh, how do I get Ingress into my cluster? And sort of reworking that tutorial to work with something else, whatever that ends up being, may well be a good destination. That's a documentation thing, but it does involve getting stuck in and running it, and it doesn't involve sitting and writing Go code. So
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I've set up like Proxmox. I have a couple VMs running.
uh,
My buddies over at Sandfly gave me an NFR license to get that on there, and now I'm starting to containerize things and starting to think about actually scripting an entire Git for my home lab instances, and then just like deploying it with Flux so that I could just do sort of like a CI/CD on the home lab. And
that makes sense.
I imagine Ingress would come in shortly thereafter.
Yeah. Once it's a question. It's a sort of a natural thing you'll hit when you get a cluster up and running. Like, is
Yeah.
how do I get traffic into this? But
Mhm.
like, that's for the future. Like, the main thing for today is it's great that you're here. You're always welcome, and we'll work together on finding things as you want to get stuck in.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. We'll charge forwards in the interest of time, which we've got half an hour left. The next one is Erik, breaking changes in Go APIs in general.
Yeah. Do we have the standard we don't want to break our Go APIs in the packages that are listed? You showed me, was it you that sent me a link to where you have documented that if you consume cert-manager as a Go module, you should use these packages.
Yes, it is. I'll put the link in chat. It's there.
Why
Yeah.
would it be a breaking change? Especially omit 0.
Because you would, the motivation for doing that would typically be to remove a pointer type, making a pointer type a value type. The discussion we just had.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I see it.
So the question is whether we are totally reluctant to breaking changes in the Go API, or could it be acceptable?
My 2 cents, right, is I think we should be very reluctant to do it, but if we have a really, really good reason, we should be confident with doing it if we really do have to. But it's going to take quite an intense reason for me, I think, to really be comfortable with it, because this is the thing that people will import, and we've talked before about how, like, I think that a suggestion from the past was that people should be generating their own clients and things, and rather than using the cert-manager clients. So the ones that we publish, that is. So that's an example of, like, that feels like if we can give them that option, like, show, like, this is how you should do it, like, that's kind of, if they've got a good alternative to importing us, that makes sense. With the APIs, I don't think they have a good alternative to importing from us right now. Like, they kind of depend on the cert-manager repo, and it's that kind of thing where it's like, oh, cert-manager upgrading it, it's just broken my code for a pointer to change. Like, it's the kind of thing that makes managers at companies that are on the fence about open source, like, lean against it a little bit, you know?
I agree. I don't think you should. I don't think you should change a public library just because by default, like, we're already V1, and people will just assume that it's not broken.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
for V2, absolutely would be very confident with removing it, changing a pointer to a non-pointer. Like, that's whatever.
We probably never will get to
No,
V2. I'm pretty sure we won't do it, because that will require us
I think
to
that's the
work.
point Ash wants to
Oh,
make.
well, like, that's the thing, right? Is, like, the reason we wouldn't do that is that there's so much that is involved in that change, and the migration planning and all that stuff. And it's just so hard. And, like, there's a selfish element of this as well. Like, I will have to update a fair bit of code if we broke our public APIs, both public and private, and I kind of just don't want to. But I think I just don't want other people to have to do that. Like, more than it being a problem for myself, I just don't want others to have to think about it unless they absolutely must. Like, and there are certainly, like, certain types of security issue where I'll be like, okay, yeah, we do need to break something.
So
Not that I know of any.
if you don't want to break something, then what does this mean for Erik wanting to change pointer to a non-pointer? And so just for on kind of API clients in general, so at work I've kind of ended up using the unstructured client for most CRDs because the API surface is not actually the types, it's the YAML that and CRDs that people publish. But obviously that's kind of unrelated to, yeah, Erik wants to change the struct.
Well, I would be more concerned of changing the CRD, like the open API schemas, because that could be totally breaking. We are also using unstructured instead of having a dependency to cert-manager, because that brings in a tons of dependencies I don't want in my dependency tree. That's one reason, and there are other reasons as well. But I think there are applications, software that imports cert-manager for sure. So I generally agree with you that we should consider it case by case, and if it's really necessary. Maybe the case that we discussed just earlier is not a necessary change. I will take another look, but I suspect that we will get into situations where we fall behind between the progress in the best practices in the Kubernetes ecosystem. That's for sure. So as long as we know that that will probably happen, I'm okay.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of power in writing a little document that says, like, we know this isn't the right thing to do, but we kind of have to for history reasons. Don't do what we say, not what we do. Like that's a pretty safe thing for us to say, and I think
Should we have a page that says use the unstructured client?
yeah, like that kind of thing is going to be really helpful to people, I think.
Yeah. People react differently to it. I mean, some projects do breaking changes, but they give me compiler errors. I think it's okay when it's usually easy to fix. Like changing a pointer to a value or the opposite is not a problematic change, but it takes time, of course.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm always loath to bring this up and spark another discussion, but the cert-manager repo could go to V2 of in a Go module sense, but keep the Kubernetes APIs at V1, and then everyone's happy. Like there's maybe some scope for that, but that's obviously a fair chunk to bite off as well, and could confuse people.
Okay,
Um,
should we move on?
I think that's a good shout. We'll get to the end of this. More renovate auto merging.
Yeah, this is a quick one, I hope at least. What is your stand on configure and renovate with more auto merge rules?
I slightly nervous, but depending on the dependency, I can be less nervous, I think.
Yeah, right now we have we have auto merge for patches of Kubernetes dependencies. That's what we currently have enabled, and also we enabled auto merge of some test dependencies that are changing frequently, like Ginkgo and Gomega. And now this PR is for auto merging patch releases of controller runtime. So I generally agree with you. It's just a question of where should we draw the line here.
Oh, there's a million dollar question there, right?
Do we trust our tests enough to automate?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of would trust our tests enough in terms of like, are we going to find if something broke? That's not what scares me. What scares me is that someone puts a backdoor into the latest version of a dependency and we automatically upgrade to it.
I totally agree with you. And there are things we can do. I mean, Kubernetes modules is probably not an issue because they are followed up very closely. What you can do with Renovate is to introduce a delay to say that like a release should have been out for, let's say, 3 days before we auto merge it. That's a feature that exists in Renovate. But even so, I agree with you. We should look at the project, how it's managed, and how popular it is, and all this.
Controller runtime specifically, controller runtime is V0, so I would just say no. But yeah, if a project is stable, then make sure.
Yeah. But that's kind of the general practice in the Kubernetes ecosystem, to have everything 0.x. I'm following the project very closely, and I know they are very picky about the patch releases. They have had historically some breaking changes in their minor releases, which they're entitled to by their versioning, but in the patch releases, that's cherry-picked specific PRs to fix issues that they believe must be fixed.
Okay.
I don't think controller runtime will ever reach 1.0. As the same for Kubernetes, like a client Go or any other thing. I think it will never reach 1.0 in the Go module system.
Certainly.
Should I say that? Do we want to do it on a case-by-case basis then? I'm happy in general.
I think it, yeah. I think it can't hurt to be transparent about things. So like we could look at things by a case-by-case basis. If anyone knows of a reason to be spooked, we just say, okay, we just have to manually update that. So be it. Like if something was maintained by like one person and like, had the last commit 7 months ago, I'm scared of that. But if it's the AWS SDK, I'm probably a bit less scared of that. So
yeah,
a case by case seems reasonable to me.
Okay, that's great. I think we agree on the principles to use there. We just have to apply them correctly, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. There's such a cliche thing to say nowadays, but I wonder what an LLM would say about this. Like I imagine the default output that ChatGPT would give for like what should our policy be around auto updating dependencies is probably going to be pretty close to what I would actually stand behind.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have like categories in the config, right? Like for cloud and stuff like that. So maybe we can just use them for now to decide.
Yep.
Yeah. But I suggest that we continue to take this really slowly, as we have done so far. We haven't enabled a lot of auto merge. So that's what we're doing up till now, is to take it case by case and take it really slowly. So we are quite sure that we don't do a bad thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good
Erik,
to
from
me.
the outside perspective, it looks like it's not necessarily a case by case, but that you guys have a general loose sense of a risk profile, and that if it's well within the confines of that risk profile, then you guys are comfortable with it automatically rolling in. However, there's certain indicators, whether it's the frequency of commits or the amount of contributors, that sort of lead to that policy and framework.
Yeah. Correct.
I think that there are tools which evaluate the health of open source projects, and they could feed into it. I wouldn't just base it on them, but like there's certainly red flags, like I say, like one contributor ever that I wouldn't particularly want to auto bump that thing.
Yeah, Renovate has all stuff kind of metrics in this area. So you could kind of also enable it by a score. You have to have a minimum score in order to do this, but
That's where my head went, Erik, when I
Yeah.
heard this conversation, is like, this
Yeah.
sounds like a risk management score,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yep.
Brilliant. I think we're aligned, to use a businessy terrible term there. We'll power through further. Maël, Ingress NGINX end of life. Do you want to?
Yeah.
say
Yeah,
something?
I can kick. It's not. It's something we already discussed this morning. The CNCF, not CNCF, sorry, the Kubernetes team announced that the Ingress NGINX team project was would be end of life in March, which will be just before cert-manager 120. And that is, it's not really a problem, but it is a problem because the team mentioned that the best option would be, if people are migrating off in Ingress NGINX, they're advising people to start using Gateway API. My problem with that is that Gateway API for multi-tenant use cases, you have you have multiple teams, different namespaces, a single ingress controller, all of them controlling the same proxy. If you translate that into Gateway API with cert-manager, it's super problematic, especially because the gateway object is not meant to be edited by these individual teams. It's meant to be, it's owned by the operator. It's something I explained. Maybe I can share my screen just with the diagram because it's
Please do.
very convenient.
I'm slightly
does it
concerned
go?
about time.
Oh, okay, then no, I'm not going to share anything.
If you can be quick.
Here's the plan. Here's the plan. The plan is there's no good solution for these people, and these people are most of the people. They are the bulk of the Ingress NGINX users. We're going to, with Erik, I'm going to create an issue or something, a blob of text that explains that people should not be migrating to Gateway API until we have figured a good way of handling this use case, and they can still use other ingress controllers. That's the plan. We're going to hopefully publish this somewhere so that the Kubernetes team can point to it from their main announcement. That's my plan.
It's at that level. It's like we don't recommend.
No, I don't.
Upgrading.
No.
Full stop.
I don't. Most people are using ingresses the way I say, the way like multi-tenant single controller. So you would have this single gateway, which means people cannot start. They will have to stop being able to create their own ingresses. That's what it entails. So what I would advise, if people are if they are using like one team, one controller, which probably no one does, then they're fine continuing. They can migrate easily. If not, they have to think about this because, and solution is we fix it within 1 year because I've been trying to fix this for 1 year almost. I haven't progressed. But we tell people not to use cert-manager or not to migrate to Gateway API if they expect the same behavior as ingresses. It is bad, yes.
Okay.
But it's not that bad. It's not breaking anyone. But it's just an asterisk.
It's not the same
It's
behavior,
like a
yeah.
small note that we should tell people. Like Gateway API is great, but think about the integrations like external DNS and cert-manager.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
and we must let people know about this. Like it's not obvious. This problem is not obvious.
Yeah.
It will show only when they do a proof of concept.
I definitely think that your plan to document this is a good one.
Okay,
But the other
great.
side of this is that we should improve cert-manager in this area
Yeah.
with the design that Maël has written.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
we should try to get some help in doing the work.
I certainly, I think the Ingress NGINX announcement will add fuel to the fire on that, and I will advocate strongly, as much as I'm able to, that we work on this as CyberArk employees. I think this is well worth our time. I'd been thinking about advocating for like working with pod certificates and things, but this is far more important than that.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's it. We can move on to the next one.
Thank you for bringing it up.
No, let's talk about Hemant because my lazy votes are not interesting.
Good show. Hemant, please go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a short thing. So we set up the repo for Vault issuer, and we merged some of the PRs related to issuer lib. So the work is ongoing, and I have basically copied all the Vault code in my local using Git filter branch to preserve the commits. And I almost got the code building except the test part, so I have to edit that test. But then on the philosophical side, how do we go about like testing this and exposing this to users?
Philosophical side.
We should have had Adam here. He's probably the best mind on this subject at the moment. But for the practical things, I mean, I set up the new repository. Adam suggested that we created a template repository for issuers, cert-manager issuers. I think that's a brilliant idea, and what we could do is to use this new repo as a template repo, just make another copy of it. But the question is whether we should add some issue lib boilerplate inside it before we spin off the template repository. So before it becomes anything related to Vault inside. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I definitely, I feel like we probably need like a command main.go, something like that, which will start the app, because that was something that I added to the code in my local branch. So that could be part of the template, because everyone needs to like start that controller, right? So yeah, that could be one thing.
But the tricky part there is to kind of start using this new code from this Vault issuer project without breaking users. That's where it becomes tricky.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to like know how to proceed with that, because that's the tricky part. One thing is, I think like Adam was saying, is to like disable the Vault issuer somehow internally for testing. I don't know if that's possible right now.
There's like a weird flag on cert-manager to disable pretty much any named controller. The syntax is pretty gnarly, but it should be doable to disable it.
Okay, so I guess that's the way we should do the end-to-end testing on the Vault issuer side.
Yeah, that would be a good start.
Yeah. And then like when we do release it eventually, I think we should ship the Vault issuer along with cert-manager through the Helm chart.
Yeah, we've talked about that kind of thing before, like removing Vault and Venafi from core and moving them external. And I think the idea was always that however people are installing cert-manager now, they wouldn't expect that to break going forwards. Like they'd probably see the new pods for the new issuers, and that might prompt them to then remove them. Like if we have like a slimmed down cert-manager that comes without the extras.
Yeah.
But how do we do it for people that install cert-manager other ways? Do we support it? Like if you take a manifest install, should we include the new controller into there? Because right now, if they're using Vault, the Vault issuer, it will break for them if we don't do it, right?
I think we do our best for them. I think like the current manifest that we render, if we even still provide that, do we? I forget.
Well, like that's basically Helm template then typed into a massive file.
Yeah. The current one is just that. So I imagine that would stay based on the batteries included cert-manager, and then we'd have a minimal one that comes along with it.
And if they have a custom install, they're on their own. I mean, they just have to read the release notes.
They made their bed and they get to sleep in it.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of answers my question, I guess. Yeah. I'm kind of stuck in Atlanta right now, so I'll resume my work once I reach.
But Hemant, before we quit this subject, are you able to add some boilerplate code to this new repo through a PR? So we can
I can do that. Yeah.
So we can spin off the template repo so we can use it the next time we want to split out an issuer.
Yep. I can do that before I raise the PR for the actual Vault thing.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's awesome. And I'm sorry that you're stuck in Atlanta. I hope you get back soon. Okay, so the last thing then is the one we skipped over from Maël about the lazy votes that have been going on.
Oh, I would like, yeah, the first item, the one about the Zoom meeting for stand-up. I don't want to use Zoom for everything, honestly, but it's the only way for now to use the CNCF calendar. I've requested that they add a way to bring our own links, but they don't for now, and they don't, will not immediately at least. For example, I want to cancel some of the meetings like the Thursdays, but we cannot really edit these meetings because they are owned by a person. And currently it's Tim. I like the idea that any maintainer can manage these meetings, update them, do anything with them through this LFX project admin center, whatever. So my proposal is to move to Zoom for the stand-ups. Richard is against. He doesn't like it, but I'm going to go through this anyways. There has been a lazy vote. Supposedly, I don't know what. I've never had a lazy vote that fails. So I don't know how to proceed with this.
My gut is that democracy will win the day, and if there were more thumbs up on the lazy vote than you got opposition, I don't think Richard's gonna nuke the place and storm out over this.
Usually everybody's always thumbs ups.
Yeah.
But this, I'm just going to make the change and announce it.
Yeah.
And most people are okay with it.
Zoom is spyware, but I already have it installed, so whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable.
That's it.
There was the other vote, was there?
The other one is, I don't think there is a need to talk about it. It's a lazy vote on something that there hasn't been any disagreement or anything to disagree with. So it's just, it passed. Oh, you can read the document if you want, Ash. It's a rework of what the triage is about. And it's all coming from Mladen, who did a great amount of work in the last OSS responder cycle.
I read it. Mladen pointed me to it. Yeah.
The document doesn't really reflect what he did, but Mladen did a lot of work in the past too. He's not a maintainer, but he did an awful lot of Phil's maintainer work, like closing stale issues, trying to sort things out. We also,
Thank you, Mladen. He's not here, but
yeah, exactly.
thank you to
I
somewhere
will
in
point
Bulgaria.
to
He's
this
just got a warm,
recording
fuzzy feeling.
just in the last few seconds of the recording. Thank you, Mladen. Great work on this. You made an impact.
Brilliant. Well, that's an excellent note to end on, I think, for the recorded section. Maël,